recruiting is ever changing. And today there's a new word that you got to add to your recruiting lexicon, and that is reclassification. Sounds just like what it is. It's when guys move up a class, generally speaking. So this year we've seen some 26 quarterbacks move into the 25 class. We see it more and more every year. So I brought in Director of Scouting and Ranking, Charles Power here. We're going to break down what a reclassification means on the college level. So before we get going, you guys do me a favor, smash that subscribe button. All right, Charles. So let's generally talk quarterback because, we got Julian Lewis this year, Brady Hart, also Jakeem Stewart. He's a big defensive lineman that reclassified. Last year, we saw Cutter Boley, Colin Hurley reclassified, and of course, the great Ryan Williams at Alabama, wide receiver, was a reclassification as well. But so far, how have recent reclassifications fared?
Yeah, Josh, it's a mixed bag. It's not the prettiest picture, to be honest, but this is a trend that we really saw take off in the 2022 recruiting cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Think about Quinn Ewers, Sonny Styles, LT Overton. A lot of those guys were top prospects in that cycle, and that really is when this kind of became a kind of a bubbling trend. We saw that originally with JT Daniels, who went to USC and kind of transferred around, but it's something that we've seen the last couple of years. And I think we're going to have a better picture of this probably coming out of this NFL draft than we've had to this point.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's to this point it's not the best picture, but I think we'll have a clearer picture as we move in the next couple of years. But it's a regularity, kind of a norm that's here to stay, it appears, just based on what we've seen so far.
Do you think there's a position that it benefits? Do you think there's a position where, maybe it might detract from somebody's career?
I think the benefits are probably more so in terms of getting to college, getting the NIL money, maybe financially in terms of the immediate payoff, getting more of a challenge. I think a guy like Ryan Williams appears to be kind of a unicorn. Like Ryan Williams was a two-time Mr. Football in the state of Alabama, extremely productive, historically productive, and he, I think, has kind of bucked the trend and kind of and been probably the biggest success story. But in terms of I think there's clear positions that it could be a detriment for. You'd think about quarterback.
Yeah, let's stick to the quarterback position because that's kind of where some of the biggest names have been reclassifying, and I don't think it's a trend that's going to go away. I think we're going to see more and more quarterbacks do this. Yeah. So, what's the upside downside of a quarterback reclassifying?
Yeah, so like I said, I think the biggest upside is if you feel like the school that you're committed to, you can get in and maybe nail down a starting spot, that could be an advantage. Long term, in terms of the downsides, I think quarterback is a position where banked reps are key. Gaining confidence, gaining that experience, really, I think dominating as a senior. You look at the best quarterbacks in college football, the best young quarterbacks in college football are guys who had dominant senior seasons. You think about DJ Lagway, took a massive jump his senior year. Lenore Sellers is a guy who missed his junior year, had the best senior year among the 2023 quarterbacks, and you see what he's doing now in college football too. So those are guys who really leapt into college football just from a confidence, play style perspective, and that's what we see as the benefit of playing your senior year. Now, at times it can be a little it can be a little, maybe seem boring, dominating that competition, but that's really where you build your confidence and you make we generally see the biggest jump in high school.
Yeah. And why are we seeing more of this? And it's not strictly coming from the athlete. I mean, you and I both know behind the scenes, colleges are pushing for this as well. What's going on here?
I think for some colleges, some college coaches can view this as maybe a recruiting inefficiency, and you can get you don't have to protect your commitment for the length of the cycle. You can.
So you're saying what you do is you kind of get them committed like a Brady Hart was, and then 2 weeks before signing day, when nobody's paying attention, nobody's trying to flip your quarterback, you announce that he's reclassifying, and now it's just a quick march to signing day.
It's an easier way to get these guys on campus.
That makes sense.
So I think that's probably the biggest value add when you look at what a reclassification can do. And some of these prospects, we're talking about like some of these prospects are like high end 5-star type of talents. So I think college coaches view it from a talent acquisition perspective as advantageous to get them on campus and perhaps get an impact player on campus without having to fight for them, for a full extra year. Now, granted, I think when you look at the track record of reclassifications, true freshman impacts as reclassifications are pretty rare, with
Right.
Ryan Williams being a massive exception.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen it at the quarterback position, though, have we?
No.
But
no,
we're
we
about
haven't.
to.
Yeah.
Because you think Julian Lewis is going to walk into a starting job.
I would be very surprised if Julian Lewis is not the starter at Colorado. And,
All
and,
right.
and I will say, too, I think when you look at all these situations, we can paint with a broad brush, but all these situations are individual. And Julian Lewis is a guy
Yeah.
who has been hyper productive. He's basically played almost a full high school career in 3 seasons at Carrollton, Georgia. I mean, if he stopped right now, he would have kind of like a top 10 type of record season in terms of his production in the state of Georgia's history.
And we've seen 5-star quarter. I mean, last year, Luke Kromenhoek, who we were really high on, he only started his senior year. So, yeah, Luke Kromenhoek starting games for Florida State, started against Florida this year as a true freshman. But Julian Lewis, who's going to reclassify, will have played in almost almost 3 times as many games as Luke Kromenhoek.
Yeah, and he's thrown a ton of passes. So you can't necessarily overly generalize. Like Julian Lewis is probably like as ready to play in college as he's going to be. So I think you have to look at each individual situation. But I think what he's done at Carrollton in Georgia, I think it can stand alone. He doesn't need to, he's not gonna I'm not sure that we'll see him have the benefit of playing a senior year like we do a normal quarterback prospect.
The reps and starts are there. He's just bypassing 1 year. All right. You guys, let us know what you think. What do you think of reclassifications? Are they a good thing? Are they a bad thing? Do you got any reclassifications on your team? Let us know. Comment section below.